Some dogs hunt foxes. Wrong. Some dogs hunt truffles. And some dogs hunt Russian spies. Meet Bertie Sweeney. He's also none too keen on people who think that the wrong side won the Second World War. Now we're off to meet somebody who can help Bertie hunt down the things he doesn't like. Hey, Bertie? Yeah. Michael.
Good to see you.
So this is Bertie Sweeney. Bertie? Is this
Hello, Bertie. How are you? Are you hoping to go to Dulwich?
Farage. Would you like to see the letter?
I've seen it before.
Have you?
Well, not for 30 years. Yes, of course, I said some ridiculous things that upset
Racist
them.
things.
Not necessarily racist things.
Not
but things...
necessarily racist.
Well, it depends how you define it.
So Michael, you started digging into the past of the famous old boy here. What did you find out?
Well, I came across this letter from a teacher called Chloe Deakin, who was at the school, quite young at the time, when Farage was here, writing, and she'd written to the headmaster, complaining about the fact that he'd made Farage a prefect. And she said this was utterly unsuitable because of he was racist, he was neo-fascist, he was totally the wrong kind of person to be having a position of responsibility like that. And I interviewed one of her fellow teachers, a guy called Bob Jope, and privately off camera, I managed to also talk to a number of old boys who also remembered Farage being basically a racist bully. Years later, when I wrote my biography of Farage, I thought, I'm really going to get to the bottom of this. I want a lot more of these teachers and a lot more pupils, and indeed other people who say they didn't remember it at all. And altogether, my former wife and I, we spoke to dozens and dozens of them. It must have been well over 50. And they split. But there were some people, including a guy, a Jewish chap, who said that Farage had told him he ought to be gassed, that, Hitler was right, and all of that. Unfortunately, this guy wouldn't allow me to use his name. But I put it all in the book. And now, of course, it's all come out. The Guardian finally persuaded this Jewish chap, Peter Ettergy, to allow his name to go forward, and other named people have come out.
What is very striking about Nigel Farage is that because he's got charisma and he talks a language ordinary people understand, he's really cut through. And his message on immigration, there's too much uncontrolled immigration, has really cut through. And right now, Reform UK is leading all of the opinion polls. He could be
every poll since May.
Yeah, he could be next Prime Minister.
Yes.
Are you worried about that?
I am, because I think everything you see in Farage today is the Farage of Dulwich College. He was a bully at school, he's a bully now. His politics were formed here at Dulwich College. I mean, the Boris Johnson government would look well organised and capable compared with the Farage government, and the country cannot afford another failing government.
But let me say this to you. The double standards and hypocrisy of the BBC are absolutely astonishing. At the time I was alleged to have made these remarks, one of your most popular weekly shows was the Black and White Minstrels. Perfectly happy at exactly the same time for Bernard Manning to appear on primetime national BBC comedy, telling jokes for which these days you'd probably get a knock at the door from our thought police and perhaps get a 31-month prison sentence. I cannot put up with the double standards of the BBC about what I'm alleged to have said 49 years ago and what you were putting out on mainstream content. Really, until you apologise for all of your output, your appalling output, at the same time that I'm accused of saying these things which I deny, I'm not speaking to you. All right?
In the last few days, a black chap called Yinka Bankole, who has similar memories. And the thing about Yinka Bankole is that he only was at Dulwich in the junior school for 1 year. So we know precisely how old he was. He was 9 at the time. And we know precisely how old Farage was, 16 or 17 in the same year. So there was the 16, 17-year-old boy telling a 9-year-old African boy from Nigeria that Africa's that way. and waiting for him outside the school gates in order to say nasty things to him. The worst kind of bullying you can imagine, not just racism, but bullying racism. And that was what happened in the case, of course, of Peter Ettergy and other victims. And his racism was anti-Semitic, anti-Asian, anti-black.
So I'm worried about Nigel Farage because his close associate, Nathan Gill, was jailed the other day for 10.5 years for receiving bribes from a Russian spy. And I have been hunted on the streets of Moscow by the Russian secret police. I've met 4 Russians who were critical of Vladimir Putin: Anna Politkovskaya, Natasha Estemirova, Boris Nemtsov, Alexei Navalny, in order: poisoned, then shot, shot, shot. Poisoned, survived, poisoned. That's why I'm worried about the possibility of Nigel Farage becoming Prime Minister. But if you're black or Jewish, then you might well worry about this man getting into number 10 because of how he was at school. But maybe for most people it's simpler than that. Nigel Farage was a bully, and he still is. So Nigel's a tricky sod to pin down, but we do know where he's going to be for the next couple of hours because he's presenting his own show on GB News. One thing is clear, we won't be meeting Nigel on public transport. So Bertie Sweeney here has sniffed it out. We think this is the GB News studio. Now it's in this building called The Point, and the point is we can't get in. It's a multi-occupancy building. There's no signage whatsoever. This is completely different to the BBC. You know where it is. You know what it does. This organisation goes out of its way to hide where it is. And that tells you something about Nigel Farage. He needs scrutiny if he's going to become the leader of our country. And there are serious questions. Was he racist at school? Was he anti-Semitic at school? Why did he never work out that his friend Nathan Gill was dodgy, bearing in mind he's been sentenced to 10.5 years for taking bribes from a Russian spy? Now, these are serious questions, and GB News is never going to ask him because he's a presenter for their show. That's not journalism, that's propaganda. So, Nigel Farage stands a very good chance of being our Prime Minister, and at the same time, he's avoiding scrutiny from people like me and my colleagues, and that's not good. Hello, my name's Hohn Sweeney, and I personally challenged Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump. Some people say, "Woo, you've got a nerve." I have. I have the nerve. Do you?